Greetings, everyone. This is Eli the Restorer coming to you live from Unity Church. I have an interesting topic today, and I'm sitting in my office that we use to teach people different things, including counseling. I wanted to show you a little diagram and talk about the masculine and feminine essence. We are in the process, my twin brother Tim and I, of doing our next couple seminar where we talk a lot about the masculine and feminine in both genders. This is the picture we have for the female gender, and you can see there's a woman and she has a man inside of him. And I'm going to switch over to the masculine one, the male, and the male has a female inside of him. Now we're going to talk about essence, not genders. And I don't know if you can see it, but on the outside of the man, we have different words that talk about what the masculine essence is. And then around the female, by her feet or by her head, we have different words that talk about the feminine essence. So for the masculine, I'm just going to throw out a few that we like to use. And again, remember, we're talking about essence. We're not talking about gender. So the masculine essence in both genders is confident, self-motivated, accountable, purposeful, a risk taker, disciplined, patient, focused, tolerant, assertive, dependable, nonviolent, perceptive, trustworthy. And then for the feminine essence, we have indecisive, moody, sensitive, passive, talkative, loving, sensual, shy, insecure. And then on the bottom, we have gossipy, intuitive, unfocused, multi-directional, passionate, spontaneous, musical, compassionate, non-assertive. What we learned from people like Karl Jung, he called the masculine and the feminine essence the animus for the masculine and the anima for the feminine essence. And what he was talking about is inside of every human being, there's three of us. There's the self. He likes to call it the self. I like to call it the mediator. And then on my left side is my feminine essence, because the right brain is feminine. And on my right side is the masculine, because my left brain is masculine. And what we tend to do as men and women is we forget about both essences. So for instance, a guy is trained to be a macho guy, be focused, get the job done, etc., etc., but he forgets about his feminine essence. What does she like to do? For instance, my feminine essence, her name is Wendy. How I found that out is I asked for a dream to meet my feminine essence. It didn't take long before her to show up in my dreams. Ironically, she looks like Catherine Zeta-Jones, the actress. And all of my life, I've been attracted to women that kind of look like Catherine Zeta-Jones. Dark hair, dark eyes, higher cheekbones. I like blondes, I like redheads, I like brunettes. But when you put me with a woman that's similar to Catherine Zeta-Jones, it's like my arousal goes up through the roof, I guess. But now I understood why. Is because if my feminine essence inside of me, in my unconscious, looks like Catherine Zeta-Jones, that's why I'm going to be attracted to the women on the outside that looks like Catherine Zeta-Jones. Does that make sense? So women can do this too. They can ask for a dream to meet their masculine essence. And it may not happen right away, so be patient with this process. And when I met my feminine essence, that's how I got her name Wendy. I call my masculine side Tom, and my feminine essence Wendy, and then there's this mediator that sits in the middle. Now, sometimes I call it the soul, the self, the ego, the healthy part of the ego, but think of it as a teeter-totter. In on our brochures, we have a teeter-totter with the self in the middle and the feminine on the left side and the masculine on the right side. And our job as conscious beings is to be aware of who's stronger in any moment. So when I'm being moody, pouty, That could be Wendy not being sweetened. And we'll talk more about the sweetened and unsweetened part of the feminine essence, because that's a really important way to look at this thing. When I'm focused, directional, analytical, disciplined, that's when my masculine essence is more prominent within me. And in relationships, when I work with couples and when we do our seminar, I know there's 6 people in the room. There's their feminine essence, their masculine essence, and then there's self or the moderator. And moderator is really consciousness. One of the silly ways Wendy gets my attention. If I've been working too much, too focused, too driven, when I walk into a grocery store or a gas station, I'm looking at Snicker bars for some reason. I love Snicker bars, by the way, and I know Wendy does too. But I don't think about Snicker bars a lot. So sometimes when I walk in, all of a sudden I'm looking for the chocolate, and that's one of Wendy's ways of sending me a message to say, I need some attention. Hopefully that makes sense. So one of the things to play with is being aware of when your feminine essence, or if you're a man, or your masculine essence, if you're a woman, to pay attention to see which one is more prominent at the time. The goal that Karl Jung talks about, and even in Judaism, I study the Kabbalah, and they talk about the masculine and feminine essence of God. And since we're made in the image and likeness of God, we have to have both, right? And what that means is when God was creating, directing, thinking about how things were going to be, that came from the masculine side of the Godhead. And then when God would be punishing, moody, violent, maybe destructive, that would be the unhealthy feminine, what we call the sour feminine. In the Godhead, you have both, and then you have in the center pure consciousness. God is modulating his masculine and feminine all the time, so if he's doing it, we're doing it. There's a handout I have here in the office where I give it to clients, where I say, if you want to be a whole human being, you have to be in touch with both essences. A lot of times guys will be so driven, working, pursuing, goal-oriented, at the expense of 2 women in their life. The internal feminine essence and the woman that they're living with, that they're married to. And all of a sudden she becomes sour. And frequently what the guy will do is he'll overdrink, overgamble, cheat, different things like that to release his feminine essence. One example I like to use a lot is if a guy's working many, many hours, say like 12-hour days, 6 days a week, and he's going to stop for a couple of beers, and all of a sudden he gets drunk, then he drives home and he catches a DUI. What happens there that they don't fully understand is once they have a beer or two, the feminine essence starts to seep out, and because she's out having a good time, she gets him drunk. And then he's got to drive her home, and that's when the disaster can happen. My feminine essence, I know her well. She loves to sunbathe. I'm really excited because I just moved into a new condo, and they have a swimming pool. And I'm watching this polarity going on within me. If I'm busy doing paperwork or painting or doing mail activities, all of a sudden, what pops into my head is the swimming pool. So I've been taking Wendy to the pool. She doesn't wear a bikini, of course, but I'm balancing between the two. Wendy loves naps. She loves taking baths. She loves having a pedicure. If you look at my toenails, they have a color on them. It's silver this time. We're going to be changing that up in a few weeks. So today, the goal is to understand this is happening within every human being. It probably happens with every part of life. That we're made in the image and likeness, so we have a masculine essence and a feminine essence, and then we have the real consciousness that's kind of sitting in the middle, being the moderator and the mediator. So if somebody says to me, are you a man or a woman? I think it depends. Sometimes I'm in my feminine essence, and sometimes I'm in my masculine essence, but I am more than both. That's part of me. It's kind of like when we talk about coherent superpositions, it's not this, but it's not that. It's not this, but it's not that. It's more than both. So I'm not masculine fully, but I'm not fully masculine. and I'm not fully feminine, but I'm not fully feminine. And then when you bring the two together, what pops out is the middle ground, the middle road, and that's where the self comes in, or the person that's probably aware of all of this going on inside of us. One of the things we found out working with couples with this model is it really changes things up for the couple. For instance, I have a friend, her name is Natalie. She's a therapist, and I checked inside to see who liked Natalie and who didn't. Well, Wendy loves hanging out with Natalie's feminine essence, but Tom, my masculine essence, is not real fond of Natalie's masculine essence. She and I would call him Nate, because he's really not very disciplined or focused. So for her, when I get together with Natalie, I know it's going to be a girls' night out, and we just laugh and go to the beach and talk and talk and talk. But if I've got a project to do, a painting project or any kind of a paper project in that, Natalie, her male muscle is not that strong. I know she's not the person I'm going to be doing that with, and I found that out the hard way over the years. Here's the other thing to think about. Those qualities that I read to you off of our models, we have a sheet where we have about 120 masculine traits and about 110 feminine essence traits, the sweetened and unsweetened. So what I'll have people do is circle the traits on the masculine side that are prominent regularly, like I'm disciplined regularly, I'm decisive regularly, and you come up with a total, so say that's 40. And let's say on the feminine essence sheet, I only have 20. So what that would say to you is I'm probably 67% masculine and 33% feminine, and my job is to keep that balanced. So if I push more than 66% from my masculine, my feminine essence is going to get bored and tired. If I'm doing too much of my feminine essence activities, my masculine side is going to start feeling guilty because we're not getting the job done. As we go along in these videos, we're going to be talking more about this, and I'm going to read you something that I found from Carl Jung's website that's really helpful. It says, "You seek the feminine in women and the masculine in men, and thus there are always only men and women." So if you're looking for a relationship, look for both sides of that person, whether it's a man or a woman. He goes on further to say, "You, man, should not seek the feminine in women, but seek and recognize it in yourself as you possess it from the beginning," meaning the beginning of time. That's why we're made in the image and likeness. And then the other quote he has on here is, "You, woman, should not seek the masculine in men, but assume the masculine in yourself since you possess it from the beginning." Humankind is masculine and feminine, not just man and woman. So if you think about the bigger picture here and start looking at yourself, are you in touch with your masculine and feminine? Do you even know what's in there? And learning to navigate both essences. So for instance, I'll give you a silly example. When this body goes to the beach, Tom packs the car, gets everything ready, gets the food in the cooler, etc., gets everything on the beach, and then basically I leave him in the car and Wendy goes out and enjoys the beach day. When the day is done, I switch over into the Tom side, the masculine essence, and that's who gets everything picked up and taken care of, and then we can get on our way. So play with this idea a little bit. Think about your relationships. One of the things that I've noticed in couples and doing couple counseling, and again, this is bigger, this is more cosmic, because the universe has a masculine and feminine essence. Can you guess where the feminine shows up in the world? Tsunamis, volcano eruptions, hurricanes. That's all the gynergy, the feminine energy. When you're in a relationship with somebody, pay attention to who's more out. Do you play the feminine role as a woman? Or you, man, do you play the masculine role at the expense of your feminine? Most women I've talked to about this model get this a lot quicker than men do, because the guy side, they're right away they're afraid of being a homosexual. Gay people have a masculine and feminine essence. Everybody does. And it's just knowing which one is stronger. I've done some testing with mine, and I roll like 60% masculine, 40% feminine. So I have a lot of feminine essence, but that makes me creative. It also can make me moody. It makes me sensitive. It makes me like to meditate and do mystical things like that. That all comes from my right brain, my feminine part of my brain. When I've got to do a painting project or get a paper done, or maybe even prepare to do these videos, my masculine side is thinking about it, but then I kick into my windy aspect and let her express it all. So play with this concept, and we'll be talking more about it as time goes on. When we do the seminar for the couples, we explain all this model. We have them fill out the sheet to see what their ratio is between their masculine and feminine. But then during part of the seminar, we do a lot of fun experiential things. And one of the things we do is we have music we play. Some music moves the feminine, some music moves the masculine, and some music moves them both. So we'll have the couple dance their feminine together, and then we'll have them dance their masculine together, and then we'll have them dance the masculine and feminine together. And they get a lot of insights into what's going on with them and where they connect and where they don't. All right, this is Eli signing off. Thank you for listening, and there'll be more of this coming. Guys, we want to become whole. Let's quit playing man or woman. Let's be both. God bless.